Welcome back to Singer Dad Reacts. Thank you all for your patience. I've been dealing with some technical difficulties with my setup, but I think I have it dialed in. And so I wanted to get on to continuing with Dimash's journey. So this is the Unforgettable Day performance. Now, I had a decision to make on this one. I could either go with the singer version or the Gaku version. And what I really decided was, and based on a lot of your feedback, was that I'm going to do kind of like what I did with Bastau, with, I believe, Daybreak. So I'm going to do, and much thanks to Chanda Das, hopefully I pronounced that right, who provided comments with a link to this full version of Unforgettable Day. But it's not the Gloria Wu version, but another full version. So what I'll do is I'll watch kind of the lead-in for the singer performance, where they kind of show the before stuff, and I think, and then from there I'll go to the Gaku performance. So with this song, it's very special to Dimash. You know, he wrote it himself, and so I really kind of want my first experience with this song to be the better performance, and it sounds like resoundingly all of you that commented said that, you know, this was definitely the better of the two performances and has really a neat moment at the end there. So I really wanted to use this performance. So, and if enough of you put in the comments that you want me to go back and do a reaction to the singer performance, then I'm happy to do that as well. So let me know in the comments if you'd like to do that. And I'm going to try to make this video shorter than some of the others. I know some of them have been quite long. So with that, I'm going to jump right in. Also, if you haven't already, if you could please subscribe and click on the notifications. Thank you to those that have. It's nice to also, I'm sure, to get the updates, as some of you have mentioned, when I make a new reaction, because then you're able to go watch right away. So thanks again. Also, real quick, so I did print out the lyrics. This is from Dimash's actual page. They had the lyrics there. By the way, while I'm thinking about it, those of you who haven't already, please go out and subscribe to Dimash's YouTube channel. I'll put the link down in the description. I know there's a lot of you are talking about, yeah, let's do this, and we want to, get him up to over 1 million. So let's do our best to help with that. So the lyrics, I'll read them here. I loved you at first sight, loved your gentle voice and tender words. You conquered my soul. I could not tear my eyes away from your luminous face. Oh, what an unforgettable day. Oh, what an unforgettable day. You are my long-awaited dream. You are my golden sunrise. My dear, you are the one I cherish, miss, and care for. No one can control my heart, and the flames in my heart will never be extinguished. I will be the happiest in this world if God grants you as my fate. Oh, what an unforgettable day. Oh, what an unforgettable day. You are my long-awaited dream. You are my golden sunrise. My dear, you are the one I cherish, miss, and care for. I do not want to part from you, my soul. How can I gift you to another? My dear, you are the one I cherish, miss, and care for. You. So very poignant lyrics, very touching lyrics. Yeah, so you always kind of wonder what the backstory is, right, behind the lyrics and the melody and how all that came about. So if you guys have any information on that, please put that in the comments. That'd be great. Let's get right into it here.
天赐有机经典新升级，天赐良缘，遇见迪玛希。大家好，我是音乐合伙人阿来。不知不觉啊，我们的进口小哥哥已经来到中国已经3个月了。他说自己拥有了很多爱他的歌迷，结识了很多在音乐上的伙伴和前辈们，甚至还找到了失散多年的林爸爸。
我的林，
大家知道林爸爸是谁吗？
这是
Nice call out
我来这里最大的收获。哦耶，值了。
今天的这个作品啊，是他在19岁的时候写下来的。为了这个舞台，他专门邀请了从事多年哈萨克文学作品翻译的哈伊夏老师，为他填写了中文歌词。
әнші болатынымды білгенімде қанша жаста едім дейді.
Есімді білген адам жасын есін неше жаста бастап береді? 2 жаста ма, 1 жаста ма? 2 жаста, значит. Кеттік па? Бұл менің колледжім, Ахмет Жұбанов атындағы Ақтөбедегі музыка колледжі.
That's cool.
Осы колледжде ең алғашқы рет балалар студиясында.
That is awesome.
Бұлай өтетін болсақ, бұл менің ең алғашқы рет сол 4-5 жас шамасында сахнаға шыққан ең алғашқы сахнам. Өнер көрсеткен ең алғашқы сахнам.
That's cool.
Көп адам неше түрлі арманы болады ғой. Өсе келе ол өзгеруі мүмкін. Мектеп бітірер кезде адамдар бала кездегі арманынан алшақтап, кім болатынын таңдай бастайды. Мен ешқашанда өмірімде басқа мамандық таңдап кетем-ау, әнші бола алмай қалатым-ау деген ой ешқашанда болмаған. Әрбір әрине байқаудың сәті ерекше есте қалатын күндер. Тәжірибені кешен алды. Ән айту, музыкамен айналысу менің өмірімнің мәні деп ойлаймын. Әрине туған туысқандарымнан кейін.
That's awesome. Okay. So, let's go to the Gaku performance here. Wow, this looks like quite the venue here, just kind of looking at it. This looks pretty amazing, all those people.
Бір көргенмен ғашық болдым өзіңе, еркелеген балдай тәтті сөзіңе, қылығыңмен баурап алдым жанымда, қарай бердім нұрға толы жүзіңе. Пай-пай шіркін, ұмытылмас күн. Пай-пай шіркін, ұмытылмас күн. Аңсап күткен арманым сен,
Yeah, so he's kind of chosen to enter the song with just like this really soft, melodic entrance. And that's the thing I've talked about, where he has complete command over whatever he needs to do with the feeling of the song and bringing that bringing that through. And that's the thing I love about Dimash. It's not that he's never about like just kind of doing something with his voice, changing the tone or the timbre or the volume or the resonance just to kind of show he can do it. He's all about the message of the song, and as I mentioned before, kind of, you know, telling the story, right? So in this case, he's kind of operating in like kind of his, you know, the falsetto, that area. A lot of times when you hear falsetto, it's talking about the head voice, but kind of the lighter version of the head voice. And that's kind of where he's at now, is kind of the lighter version of that. He's telling the story about this unforgettable day. So you kind of hear from the lyrics, when he repeated the lyrics, or that was when he was saying, "Oh, what an unforgettable day. You are my long-awaited dream." I think that's kind of what he just said there. So let's move on here. And I'm going to try to do the rewind 10 seconds.
Жүрекке ешкім жүргіз алмас әмірін, сөндір алмас сезімімнің жалынын. Бақыттымын бұл әлемде сен екен.
Those people are loving it.
Тағдырыма тарту етсе Тәңірім, пай-пай шіркін ұмытылмас күн. Пай-пай шіркін ұмытылмас күн. Аңсап күткен арманым сен, алаулаған таңдарым сен.
And this is more of the true head voice.
Аңсарымда арқалым сен.
He's getting ready to do something here.
Seni canım kıymayman, kıymayman. Seni kalay, özgege
Sorry, I'll rewind it there. Wow. I shake my head because it's like, what he can do is just seems impossible. For him to move that freely between his registers, I don't understand how he does that. It's and part of it, like I mentioned before, is he's very much opening up the sound. And one of you, I think, asked about kind of me elaborating a little bit on what I talked about a little bit with the face and the resonance. A lot of it has to do with this whole area here. And if you want to see someone who is like a master of this, and it's one of Dimash's idols, actually, it's Pavarotti. He is, you just see it when he sings, that he is pushing the sound out through here. And that's really when you're learning about the vocal instrument, part of what you learn is and it's what's amazing is just you thinking about pushing the sound out through your forehead or between your eyes or whatever out through here, it actually brings the sound up and lifts it. And that's all part of what you're doing when you're learning to sing correctly, is opening this up and then lifting. And they call it the inside smile, right? I talked about how you lift your cheeks and without actually lifting your mouth. So one of the ways you can test this out if you want to do it on your own, there's things, some of the things involved, you have your hard palate, which is the part above your mouth here, directly above, that's your hard palate. Your soft palate is slightly behind, so it's that softer tissue behind that kind of attaches to your tonsils and uvula and all that. And what you want to do is get to the point where you can kind of look in a mirror or whatever, and when you're sending the sound through in like a vowel, if you lift with this kind of inside smile I talked about, and you want to see if you're doing it correctly, one of the things that they have is called the pinch test, where you can test it, right? So what that entails is you you get a good sound coming through, so oh, and if you're doing it correctly and you're lifting your soft palate, then when you pinch your nose, then the sound should not be interrupted. You should hear the steady flow of the vowel coming through without any interruption. So that's the pinch test. That's one way you can kind of verify that you've lifted your soft palate and you're allowing an open airway for the sound to travel through, and you can get better quality of the sound, better pitch. All of that comes through when you can start to do some of these things. So let's get back to the video. But he's a master and he's just skying right there. That was crazy. Let's go back. I want to go back a little bit before he starts into this run, because this was crazy. Okay, I'm going to just go back a little farther. Sorry. I don't want to take away from this moment because he just owns it. Okay. You hear the vibrato coming through? Gosh. Okay. I think that's the D8 that everybody talks about. I got to go back. What? Oh my gosh. How does he create that sound with his voice? Wow. Okay. I gotta prepare for this.
Үлкен рахмет.
Wow. Okay. Wow. how do you create that sound with your voice? I don't understand how he does that. Again, coming back to like what I talked about in one of my earlier videos with the whistle register, right? A lot of it is like squeezing the vocal cords together so tightly that you create that higher pitched whistle sound, right? It almost kind of reminds me of like, if I don't know if any of you've ever done this, if you take like these two pieces of like green thick kind of grass from like a plant, and you put them together like this, and then you blow through, and you can kind of create a whistling sound that way. It's almost kind of the same concept, pushing the air through this tiny opening. But what it takes is, and this is where some people have talked about, like, he's basically like the equivalent of an Olympic athlete for the voice, because he has to have worked the muscles on his vocal cords and all of the mechanisms involved with that, whether that's the diaphragm, all the different aspects of that instrument, to the point where he can basically do whatever he wants with it, right? And I talked about Michael Phelps. You know, some of these people that they just redefine things and they just do super well and just blow everybody away. Another one that stands out in my mind is Usain Bolt, right? The sprinter, how he would just pull away from people and just completely leave them in the dust on the sprints and stuff. That's basically what he's doing with his voice. He's taken it to another level, to be able to create that high-pitched sound, and to be able to do what he does with his voice. It's amazing. And I think, as we've talked about, again, coming back to it, the feeling that he puts into the songs and his whole goal behind what he's doing with his fame and his outreach, calling his fans dears. I mean, that right there tells you that he has the right approach. He has this loving attitude toward all the people in the world. And I was scrolling through silently through videos on one of the sites, and there was a video I kind of paused on where there was a lady that came up to him that he was getting a picture with, and she was shaking. She was like so excited that she was like shaking. And so here she is, she's hugging around him, and she's like shaking like this. So a lot of stars would have been like, whoa, what's going on here? You know, distance themselves from her or whatever. But Dimash, I love what he did. Dimash just like smiled and kind of kindly patted her and then kind of gave her a hug, and they got a picture and all that. And he was just super, super loving with her. And I think what he understands is that music can bring us together. It can bring love to the world. And what more do we need right now in this world than to have that message, to have an artist like him that is devoted to that. It reminds me of, I was watching a reaction, and it was a gentleman that he grew up in a really bad area of the big city, around crime and poverty and violence and everything else, chaos. And he was reacting to Pavarotti's Nessun Dorma. And you could see as he listened that he was visually touched by it. You could see that it was just calming him and bringing peace to him. And he even commented, he's like, because I've watched a couple from him now, 2 or 3 different reactions, and he continues to kind of listen to stuff like that, and he just loves it. And his friends give him a hard time about it, and he's like, he says it feels healing. It heals him from what he experienced growing up and a lot of what he's seen, and he feels that in the music. And that's what it's all about. And that's what Dimash is trying to do with what he does and the performances and what he puts into it and the love he shows to the people. So I'm really touched by that, and I fully support him, of course. I think it's just amazing, and I want to do my part to get the word out there. I did have another Dimash experience with a group of youth, real quick. It's a group of my son's friends. My my son that just graduated from high school, so a little bit older group, so probably like probably 18 to 20, 21. And so they were hanging out by our church. They were in the parking lot. They waved me down, and I came over, and one of them was like, hey, I watched your channel. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So I started telling him about it, and then I got to Dimash, and before I left, I was like, well, do you want to hear him? Because I'd already kind of talked him up and everything, and they're like, sure. So I played SOS on my phone for them, and they were just like, wow, this is crazy. How does he do that? You know? So it was cool to kind of introduce them to Dimash, and hopefully they go out and look into him, and because a lot of these kids are like affiliated with our family through musicals and stuff like that. My wife is the musical director for the high school musicals. So she's done 20 of the musicals, the last 20 musicals here in the community at the high school, and does a fantastic job. And the kids love her because she works directly with them. She helps choreograph all this stuff and builds the sets. So we're very involved with the musical community that way. And but yeah, so they're definitely into music. So I'm hoping they go out and kind of learn more about him and become adheres eventually. But I think that's what I have for today. Again, I appreciate all of you and the support you give me and your comments. I love those as well, and I try to get to them in as timely manner as I can. If you have further recommendations, I know we've got the cool stuff is coming with the Diva Dance and Confessa. So you guys have given me some feedback on that. So if you want to kind of chime in on that, a lot of you have weighed in already, but as to like watching the Bastel performance of the Diva Dance at the same time in the same video. So most of you are saying, yeah, it's a good idea because it's so short. So that's the plan currently, but if you have any thoughts on that, please let me know. And then thoughts for after that, I think there's a tribute to Michael Jackson. So I definitely want to see that. But we're coming toward the end of the singer competition. So I need to kind of prepare for that and know, okay, where should I go from here as far as his performances, and see if there are any others in 2017, or if I need to move on to 2018. I know he didn't compete. He sang at the singer competition, I believe, as a guest in 2018. So give me your thoughts on that. And if you haven't already, if you could please subscribe and click the notifications. And again, thank you for your support, and take care.